Hello everybody, welcome back to Leeton, the road to self-sufficiency. And that road's got a little bit diverted because, as I've mentioned before, we've been renovating a house, or we are renovating a house, and I had to take my attention away from the garden towards the back end of last year to crack on with that really. So we've got quite a bit done in there. We've got an ensuite built now. We had to put a lot of drains in the garden. We had to dig up all of the front garden and everything. We got the living room and the fireplace and the log burner in, all that ready for Christmas. So, but it's a new year and nice sunny January morning. A bit cold, warming up now, but it was quite cold. And obviously we had that really cold snap as well. So I'll talk to you a bit about that in a minute and what survived and what didn't. So yeah, apologies for the delay in posting a video, but back on it now, and we've made some progress in the veg plot. And if you've watched previous videos, you'll know that there's an upper area and a lower area. Well, all the progress has really been made in the lower area. The upper area is still an absolute bomb site, full of bricks and building blocks, lots of timber up there that we've found from around the property, some of which is scrap, some of which we're trying to keep. So what I'm going to do now is I'll turn the camera around and I'll give you a bit of an update of what's been going on. So if you remember last year, this area had beds going across like this, and that was because it was really just thrown together to get something growing last year. But obviously over the last summer and over the winter I've been able to formulate a proper plan, and that plan is to have beds running this way. And the reason for that is pretty much south over there. In fact, there's the sun now. So I want all my beds aligned that way. There's going to be a polytunnel here, which I've mentioned before, compost bays along the back there. But over the weekend we managed to get these two, well, 1.5 at the minute, beds done. This hasn't been dug over as such. Any deep rooting dandelions, dock leaves, things like that, they were dug out, and any biggish weeds that were on the surface, but they were dug out, and it was literally forked over, an inch or two. And then all the spent compost from the potatoes last year, any pots that were around, etc, 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 some bags of manure that I had left over from last year, all that has been spread over the beds as a mulch. So looking a lot better. I've got this path in, which is yet to be filled with wood chip, and I like to use wood chip because yes, it does rot down, yes, things do start to grow in it, but then you can just sweep it up, put it in your compost bin and put some new stuff down. So that's the plan there. We've moved the apple tree. I can't tell you what variety it is because the labels come off and I can't remember, but it was here and it was a bit too close to the fence and a bit too close to my fire pit, so I've moved it that way a bit so it can crack on. I've pruned a couple of the lower branches off as well. So interestingly, the soil temperature at the moment is only 4 degrees. And that's quite a long probe. That's about 6 inches in the ground. So 4 degrees. So sowing anything outside at the minute just isn't really viable, I don't suppose. That said, I have sown some seeds inside, which I'll come on to. But the parsley did extremely well. Survived all that cold snap, no problems. As did the lavender. There's another flat leaf parsley there. That was sown from seed last year. And then if you remember, I had a big rhubarb here and I dug that up. I've split the crown and I've put one there where that stick is marking the spot, and there's another one up that end. Here, last June, I planted some Stuttgart onions, which I believe are a winter variety. And as I was clearing the plot, I kept finding them. So we've dug them all up and relocated them into this area here. There are some in what looks like blank soil. I think they're just a little bit deep. Then all this is empty at the moment. Got a spare pyracanthus from the front garden, which I'm going to grow up this fence and then along trellises, and probably put one every other post, or maybe every post. I've got some cuttings going, and that's a security thing, and hopefully a way of deterring cats as well. This is manure in this area, just been left in the bags over the winter. There's the other rhubarb, and these are curly kale, which survived all the cold weather. So I've dug them up and relocated them, just put them here for now. The plum tree that we planted last year has got buds on it, so hopefully that may even give us a bit of fruit this year. Need to cut off some of those suckers that are coming. So that's this area. Obviously a bit more work to do yet, but the reason I haven't leveled that bit out, see it needs digging out a bit more, is because I got the machine back. We had a machine for the drains, a digger and what have you, and I've got that back in a few weeks time. So I'm going to save all the back-breaking work and do it with the machine and level this plot here all the way through, ready for the polytunnel at some point. Now when we had the digger last year, we built this, and the reason for it is there used to be 3 big conifer trees there, which I cut down when we moved in, and there was a privet hedge, and I wanted to get rid of it all. So that's all gone and been shredded and used as mulch and compost and etc. And obviously we need something to hold this bank up, so we've built this retaining structure, and these are going to be raised beds. The bay right at the end there, that's going to be for an IBC container, which will collect the water off the roof of the compost bins, which will be running along here. So an IBC in there, raised bed, raised bed, raised bed, and I'm thinking carrots and parsnips and things like that in here, because I can control the structure of the soil easier in these. So we put a French drain right along the back, weep holes into the beds, and then weep holes out of the beds. And what we're going to do is we're going to fill it up to the first course with rubble, pea gravel, a couple of inches of pea gravel, and then soil and compost. And this soil here, although it's full of weeds, is actually really good soil. It's very, very friable, so it'll be quite good as a medium for growing deep-rooted vegetables. And that was all dug out of the hedge when I dug all this bank out with the digger. So that's the plan with those. This wall's probably going to have to go up another course, and then there's going to be 2 rows of bricks or so on top to make it look nice, and then all the block work will get rendered and painted white. There's going to be a ramp here so that we can easily get a wheelbarrow up and down between the 2 plots. This area is for a bench. I've got a nice wooden bench I'm going to do up, and we're going to put some slabs down here to the path that goes out, and have a seating area there, a little bench. And then this bay is for another IBC container to collect the water off these sheds and the greenhouse when it gets moved to this location. But at the minute it's being used as a composting area. And then so that's the plot stands now. It's very wet, very sticky, very well, like a bog, but it is quite clayey, this soil, and it is going to take time to improve, but I want to do the no dig method, and I'm so pleased now that I've got these beds roughly laid out, and that process has now begun. No more digging in that area, so fantastic. So when we had the digger and we had to do the drains to connect the ensuite, there's a soil stack up there behind that tree, and we had to dig all of this up, massive holes, and the drains were connected under there. So all this grass is seed I put down the back end of last summer, and it's growing about 10 times faster than the original grass, which is causing me a problem. I have to keep strimming it just to stop it going yellow at the bottom. So there's not a lot going on in there at the moment. It's really just the seeds in our little conservatory stroke garden room stroke, what other people call it. It has all sorts of names, but it's effectively a little lean-to conservatory. So we'll go up there. Okay, welcome to the garden room stroke office stroke tool store stroke wood store. This room is used for everything. So these are the seeds that I have going. I can't remember what I put in that one. So I've got spinach and kale coming on in there. These were only sown a few days ago. Iceberg and mixed salad leaves. I like to start them early and try to protect them. Parsnips in these cardboard pots. I tend to use those in January because I can start them indoors easy, as long as I don't overwater them and disintegrate the cardboard, and then I can get them planted out and protected with some fleece, etc. You do have to watch these though, as the parsnip puts down its taproot and it can curl up in the bottom. So we found some parsnips actually when we were doing the clearing of the plot the other day, and they've been great, absolutely fantastic. So sweet after the cold snap. And we had some for tea last night, and the missus is gonna make a soup later with the rest. And we also had a lot of really nice sprouts as well for Christmas. In there we've got spring onion. I like to plant mine in modules and then plant them as a bunch, 5 or so seeds in each one. And then there we have onion, Elisa Craig. So they're the seeds I've got going at the moment, and yeah, hopefully in a couple of weeks things will start to pop up and can get the greenhouse organised a bit more for later in the year, then move them out there and then down into the plot with some fleece protection, perhaps, if it's still looking a bit frosty. So thanks very much for watching, guys. Just a quick video to update you on what's going on and to let you know that we haven't given up. We are still on the road to self-sufficiency from vegetables and a fruit point of view. It's not going to be easy. It's going to take a lot of time, but progress is being made, and that's the important thing. And with the cost of living at the moment, anything that you can do to save a few quid has got to help, hasn't it? I'm not saying that gardening allotments, etc., are actually cheaper than buying your own food. I don't know. I think that depends on how much you can make your own compost, save your own seeds, save your own seed potatoes, etc., etc. But that's our plan. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe to the channel. I will do an update much quicker than this one, than since how long it's been. And I look forward to seeing you next time. Cheers.